to you and to your viewers.
Everything ready to go and to rock and roll over the weekend?
Absolutely. We are ready. We have the infrastructure. We've got a pool of electoral expertise. We have recruited people. We've trained them. And all of them are ready now to occupy their positions in their different voting stations.
There's one small little issue of Malamulele. Now, the Malamulele Strike Committee spokesperson has said that the IEC will not be welcome in Malamulele and this weekend for the voter registration drive. Are you concerned about these threats?
Let me put it this way, that it would be very unfortunate if any section of our population can use the registration weekend as a platform to disrupt our activities. We are hoping that there'll be responsible leadership in all the communities, and then all the communities will realize that many people have sacrificed for this democracy, and that on the day of the registration, on the 9th and 10th, all of them will urge their supporters to go and register. But we are also satisfied, particularly by the commitment that has been made by the political parties. All the political parties are saying they're going to urge their supporters to go to the registration stations to go and register on the 9th and 10th. And we are very, very hopeful that there will not be anything that will actually disrupt our activities. And we are confident that our people will turn up in great numbers to the registration stations to go and register.
Are you engaging with these dissatisfied communities, Bekkersdal and Malamulele, for instance, to make sure that the registration does take place over the weekend?
Absolutely. Our people at the local level are engaged in discussions with these communities. But in addition to that, remember, we're moving from an understanding as the Electoral Commission that the electoral process is a joint responsibility. It's a joint responsibility between ourselves and various stakeholders. The political parties, through party liaison committees, they have assured us that they will do every little thing to make sure that there is stability in all those areas so that we are able to perform our responsibilities. But there is a process of engagement.
But what sort of plans have you put in place to ensure the safety of not only just your officials, but also the citizens in these communities?
As you may be aware, that government departments are expected and are required in law to cooperate with the Electoral Commission when the Electoral Commission is doing its work. Now, for this weekend, we're cooperating very closely with the security cluster. We are having engagement with the security cluster, with the police, and all other agencies. And we're going to make sure that through the measures that we put in place, that everything will be peaceful at that level. But the most important thing, even though you can be able to put up the security measures, the most important thing that people must understand is that the biggest protection for the Electoral Commission, it is the people, it is the communities, and it is important for the communities to make sure that they allow our people to be able to perform our responsibilities without any hindrance.
Now we're going to cross briefly to our reporter on the scene in Wits, Griselda Lewis, to find out what's happening there. Griselda?
Well, Alvis, hello to you once again. I must tell you, mixed reactions still here at the Wits campus with regard to voter registration and the 2014 election. But what does seem to come through is that these young people saying political parties still have a lot of convincing to do on who they should actually go out and vote for next year. They're saying they're aware of voter registration this weekend, and some of them saying they know where to go, while others say they still need to perhaps go on to the IEC website and find out where is the nearest place where they're able to register for next year's election. But I'm joined by some of those young people now. David here, as well as Ronald. David and Ronald, thank you very much for joining me. Have you checked your status at all, whether you're registered or not?
I've checked my status and I am registered. I'm quite excited. I'm looking forward to voting, taking part in exercising my democratic right in South Africa. I'm really excited.
Mm-hmm. You did chat to me in brief about what your expectations are for next year as you go out and participate in this election. You've already stressed the importance of it.
Yes, I think it's important to vote and to vote responsibly, to make sure that you're well informed. It is parties should be informing the whole population about their party and how to vote, but it's also your responsibility to vote responsible and make sure that you're well informed and make a proper good decision, not just on emotion alone.
What exactly will you be voting for when you go to the poll next year?
I want to vote. I'm going to look at all the different parties' manifestos and see what fits me best economically and socially. But I also I want corruption to be dealt with in South Africa. I feel it's plaguing our society. It's like a cancer, and if we deal with that, this country can really prosper. Also want to see education developed and maybe a complete reformation of the education system. South Africa's education is ranked one of the worst in the world, and if that's dealt with, I think we can. It's the building blocks to democracy and the building blocks to a country, and if that's dealt with, I think it will be really important. We can really move on from there, and that's pretty much what I'm basing my vote on.
You speak about education. Let's talk about the IEC's education drive now. Have you seen any of the communication on campus from the IEC with regard to where young people need to go? The focus, I'm sure you would know, is that the IEC is trying to get as many young people who are eligible to vote to actually go out and register this weekend.
I haven't seen, to be honest, I haven't been on campus that much lately, but I haven't seen any IEC officials anywhere on campus, around the city, wherever. I have seen a couple of adverts on Facebook and Twitter, and obviously through different media sources, but that's coming from media sources and not from the IEC itself. So I'm not sure if they're doing a good enough job encouraging voters to go and vote, especially first-time young voters, those that haven't registered yet, who are going to be voting for the first time. I think they need to really push that, because that's important to get the young voters to start voting, because a lot of young voters don't want to vote. A lot of people who are eligible don't really want to vote, and I think if that's dealt with, then we can get a proper good education, educate them properly with how to vote, how to get to vote, and then we can get a proper vote in.
All right, thank you very much, David. Here, you, Ronald, do you plan to go out and register tomorrow and as well as on Sunday?
To be honest with you, I don't want to register to vote because I'm not happy with the current situation in our country. I mean, I feel my vote will be going towards an empty promise. My registration will be going towards an empty promise. And with that, I feel that there's no need to vote because I mean, what good have you seen on TV, concerning mass developments that have been much talked about? Development to help the youth? None. So now, and also, on TV we've been seeing much of people protesting, meaning they're not happy at all. So me going to register and vote for something which I don't think might be realistic. You know what? Don't get me wrong. I like to vote. I like to register and vote because I love South Africa. It's my country, But with the current situation, I don't think that we'll be seeing change anytime soon. And yeah, I don't see that.
But don't you think perhaps if you haven't made up your mind yet about who you'd want to vote for in next year's election, to register and then let the different political parties bring through their manifestos, and then you decide then whether which political party you want to vote for?
We've been hearing about the parties' manifestos for so long. I mean, it's all positive, it's all good, but what about the implementation? That's what I'm worried about, because all of them, they're promising a better future, but I don't see that mass development coming in our country. I mean, if you're talking about democracy, will you tell me that those e-tolls that you see being installed, it's democratic? No, I don't think so. So now, whoever comes into power and whoever wants to be voted for should prove themselves to the people, those people who put them in power. Because I feel that, those people in power should be for the people. Vote for those people who are putting you in power. Let them benefit rather than you benefiting. So yeah, that's where my whole problem is.
What would you say to someone who says then perhaps, Ronald, this might be a slap in the face of all the gains that have been made in South Africa and a fight for you as a black young man to be able to move around wherever you want to and basically to participate in a vote to begin with?
I'm not taking anything away from freedom fighters. those guys who struggle to, in order for me to be here at VETS. I mean, who would have thought I'll be here at VETS back in the day? I'm not taking anything away from them, but I like to see policies being implemented rather than us talking about good things to come. Let's see those things coming.
Well, Ronald, thank you very much. Very strong views there from young people here at Wits University. We'll speak to some of them a bit later on, but a lot of mixed feelings about whether to go out and register to vote, and political parties really do seem to have their work cut out for them on why these young people should vote for them in next year's election. Back to the studio.
Griselda, thank you so much. That's Griselda, our SABC reporter at Wits. Now, as the Vice Chairman, Terry Tselane of the IEC, what do you say to a young man like that, complete voter apathy there?
Well, I'm not really discouraged by the things that they're saying. And the most important point that they have raised is that the political parties have got a responsibility to go out there, to try to mobilize people, and to tell people why they've got to vote for them. And this is the essence of what these youngsters are saying. And I agree with it. So we, from our side as the IEC, we will provide an infrastructure for them to be able to express their will. All the issues that they're raising, in a democratic dispensation, they can only be addressed through a ballot. If a person wants to raise an issue, there is no other way that a person can be able to make that point very effectively without going through the democratic processes. Now, it is possible that at a later stage, these people, these youngsters who have indicated their willingness to listen to what people have got to offer, they will be intending and they will be prepared to participate in the process. But unfortunately, they will not be able to participate in the electoral process unless they are registered. So I want to say to them, whilst they're still waiting for the political parties to come with different messages to them, to indicate to them how they're going to be implementing what they say are politics or issues that are emanating from their manifestos, it is important that they know that we as the Electoral Commission have provided them with the infrastructure. That infrastructure is going to the voting station or the registration stations to go and register. And then after they've interacted with the political parties, they can make up their minds as to whether they want to vote for this political party or that political party. But the most important thing is for them to make sure that as they engage with the political parties, they are on our voters' roll. And to do that, they've got to register.
Got to register, that is the key word, but they also say there's not enough awareness out there. I take the point that they have raised, but what I also heard them saying is that they are taking advantage of other platforms that the Electoral Commission is using, such as the Facebook. I'm very, very encouraged by that. They're saying they are following the Electoral Commission on Facebook, they're following Electoral Commission on Twitter, and those are the platforms specifically that we decided to use specifically to capture the imagination and the attention of the youth. As you may be aware, in terms of the statistics that were released, only 8.4% of the youth between 18 and 19 are actually on the voters' roll. So it means we've got to work extremely hard. We've got to use the social media. We've got to use every little platform that we can use in order to be able to access all these people and make sure that they are on our database. There's a sense that maybe too little, too late was done in order to get the awareness out to these youngsters. Do you concur with that statement?
Not completely, but I'm sure we can do more. I mean, if we had enough time, we would have had an opportunity, I'm sure, to visit each and every family. But as you know, it is not practical. It is not practical for us to go to each and every family, to go to each and every room in a university to make sure that a person can actually be able to see our message. And hence we are using both print and electronic media, we are using social media in order to be able to access all these people that we are not able to access. So we are hoping that going forward, we will try to increase our visibility in all these areas and to make sure that all the people who are supposed to be part of this process are able to participate in our processes. And we're encouraging particularly the youth from the age of 16 to be part of this process.
I'm a first-time voter. What do I need to do to get on the registration roll?
On the 9th and 10th, we're going to open all our registration stations. So you just go to your nearest registration station. with a barcoded ID or the new smart card ID or temporary identification certificate. That's all that is required. And you go to our registration officers, and our registration officers will make sure that they capture your details on our system.
Terry, thank you so much for your time. That's Terry Tselane, the IEC Vice-Chairperson in studio. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.